What's up nerds, Fino here. We've arrived at my personal favorite event, Onigashima. The shop might look underwhelming, but make no mistake, this is one of the most valuable events in the entire game. If you want a step-by-step guide, I recommend looking at Lord Ashra's very detailed, if blindingly colorful game plan. I'll link it down below. For my part, I'll be going through the essentials to keep this video concise. Your top priority this event, more than anything else, is unlocking Kintoki Rider and getting both his Ascension and NP materials. Yes, even more than Golden Sumo. Hallowed be its name. I'll have a servant guide that gives the deets, but the short version is that he's a fusion of Berserker Kintoki and Okita. And he's free. He does disgusting levels of single target damage, and he's pretty much at the top of my welfare tier list, which I just made right now. Like, I value this guy more than BB. Can't recommend him enough. A close second on the checklist is getting a complete copy of Golden Sumo. 50% starting charge and a permanent charisma style buff count for a lot. The 15% attack buff might seem underwhelming, but it affects every card, and it's good on everyone, especially hybrid characters. That and it has a perfect attack investment, so especially at max level, you're getting a lot of power from it. I meme about this a lot, but it's legitimately the best general craft essence. It's up there with shit like K-Scope in 2030. Highly recommend it. You can theoretically farm a second copy, but this event does get a rerun, so you could just wait and get a second set later. Not gonna stop me though. As for the event itself, it's a mix of two styles. First we have the event map, which works like Halloween and the crossovers. Do each quest once for a mix of apples, beans, and dumplings, identify the efficient nodes, and grind them out for copies of Golden Sumo. This is the AP intensive part. The second is a raid element, not unlike Rashomon. This time we have 4 separate raid bosses which unlock in sequence. As their global health is depleted, extra sections of the map unlock. The first 3 are colored Oni. Sorry, Oni of color. These are resistant to the card type that corresponds to their skin. The green Oni has quick resistance, blue arts, and red buster. There are also consumable bean items that boost a single card type for one battle. The graphics for this event suggest that you use these to negate the Oni's resistance, but there's another option. Run a primary attacker that bypasses their resistance, and use a different bean to amp their damage. For instance, the green Oni is a caster, so you could run Mayav, Iskandar, or Drake as your main attacker, with a buster bean to amp their damage. That said, there's a complicating factor. Some thematic servants get a damage boost, and it might be worth running them in spite of the Oni's resistance. Kintoki Rider has a 100% damage bonus, so you could run him with a green bean and still be ahead. Obviously, you won't have him maxed out for the first boss, but you can use him in the second rotation. The blue Oni is a saber and Nobunaga will have an easier time than Emiya, and the red Oni is the one that gets fucked in dojins. Also a rider, so Shiki with a blue bean is the ideal counter. Jack is okay, but she doesn't have an event bonus. Each Oni has a different debuff. Blue has a defense down, and it's the only one you need to watch carefully. Also, they're paired with a servant, and I recommend nuking these ASAP. The Oni hurt, but if Kojiro evades on his pre-NP turn, you're all kinds of fucked. Speaking of hurt, these guys are like Spriggans with an AoE Noble Phantasm, so keep some form of mitigation and David in the backline. Mechanically, this all works a lot like Rashomon. You spend a separate resource called BP to fight raids. These regenerate at a fairly slow rate, but you can refresh it with dumplings. Unlike Ibaraki's raid, your damage counts even if you wipe, so feel free to do harder raids as long as you make up for the additional BP you spend. For example, you can fail 3 BP and still be okay if you do 4.5 million damage. Otherwise, it's better to do 2 BP. Your damage is tallied on a prize ladder that hands out goodies, including the second event CE, Hot Spring Under the Moon. This amps your team's damage, and for raids your end goal is to have your main damage dealer with a limit broken Golden Sumo, and everyone else with a 0-star Hot Spring. The final raid is a Berserker with no resistance, so go with your premier DPS. Her minions are casters, so you may want to skip on using assassins. Not gonna spoil who it is, but let's just say Nobunaga's a very strong option in this fight. Once they're down, you'll permanently unlock Kintoki Rider, and the previous 3 Oni will show up for a second cycle. They'll have a different servant along for the ride, but the basic fight stays the same. Alright, and that's the most involved part of Onigashima. Everything else is standard fare, so good luck and remember. Get Kintoki, get Golden Sumo, and get the bones. Always get the bones. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, by all means like, sub, and stay tuned for a stream where I roll for Raiko, fail, and rip my penis off. Remember, poise, dignity, memes.